Many Guardian readers were quite angry and disappointed at the paper when we backed the Liberal Democrats at the last election, but then the Liberal Democrats went into government with the Tories. How did you feel about that yourself?
I mean, I was very disappointed that the electorate decided that the Conservatives were the party who should receive most votes and most seats. And Nick Clegg said throughout the election campaign that he would have to go with whichever party the country decided was the majority party. The Liberal Democrats had to do the right thing by the country to create a stable government that could deal with the economic mess that Labour left behind. Clearly, I'm disappointed about tuition fees. Clearly, I'm disappointed about any of the cuts that have been introduced. But, you know, the country is in an economic mess, and a lot more people would be a lot worse off if the government wasn't making difficult decisions to get the deficit down.
Earlier this week, you shared a platform with Nick Clegg. Is that something that's really, at this point, will help your campaign or hinder it, do you think?
Well, yeah, it's a mixed blessing. I don't know how many media would have turned up to that event if Nick Clegg was not there. He is Deputy Prime Minister after all, and people do sit up and take notice when he goes to these things. On the other hand, you know, and it was a meeting with 20 to 30 young people. I did question whether or not he had enough special branch people to be able to protect him, bearing in mind what young people think of the tuition fees issue.
You're a former senior police officer in the Metropolitan Police, and you've made one of the key issues of your campaign the treatment of rape victims by the police. Why do you think the police continue to find it so difficult to treat rape victims properly?
I think it's a cultural issue. I mean, we've seen the issues highlighted by The Guardian around racism in the police. There are issues around sexism as well. And there is, I think, in that male macho culture, male-dominated macho culture, for there to be a tendency to believe people accused of rape rather than people who are survivors of rape, and that needs to change. You know, there is, you know, Mumsnet, for example, have got a campaign called I Believe You, and that is fundamentally where we need to start with the police. That when a survivor of rape comes forward, the police the presumption has to be that they believe the victim, as opposed to what appears to happen in some parts of London, where too many allegations of rape are written off as not holding water.
Detectives investigating alleged illegal payments to public officials have arrested 3 people today. Do you think there is a danger that the relationship between the media and the police now becomes so difficult that any of the sort of informal contact between police officers and journalists really starts to dry up?
I think there is a danger of that, and we need to have balance. We have to make sure that very senior officers meeting with very senior executives from the media only take place in formal meeting rooms over nothing stronger than a cup of coffee. And we have to make sure that we identify corrupt officers who are handing over confidential information that could be detrimental to the investigation of serious crime, that those people are identified and prosecuted. But you know, there has always been a very positive relationship in the past between the police and the media. You know, the media want stories, the police want publicity for their investigations, whether it's missing persons, somebody who is wanted. There is a very positive relationship that can exist between the press and the media. But what we have seen is an obsession, particularly in the Metropolitan Police, with the police's reputation, with reputation management. And the police have wrongly felt that by covering up or positive spinning of the behaviour of the police, that this can help the police win support and cooperation of the public. In fact, I honestly believe, and it was something that I followed to my detriment in the end in the police, was that the way to inspire public trust and confidence in the police is openness, honesty and transparency. That's why I contradicted the official version about who knew what when after the killing of Jean-Charles de Menezes at Stockwell. As a consequence, I was moved from being in charge of 20,000 officers to being in charge of 20, and eventually was forced out of the Met. But I think it's that openness and transparency and honesty that is going to make the police more effective, because then, because the police are trusted, that is how the police become more effective in tackling crime.
Before the last election, I believe you and Boris had a chat about what you would be doing after election day. Could you tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, it was at the BBC London radio studios that were then in Marylebone Lane, and as we left 2 days before the election last time, Boris said, "What are you going to be doing after Thursday?" And I said, "I'm going to be mayor, of course." And then I said, "But, you know, seriously, looking at the polls, it looks like you're going to be mayor, Boris." And he said, "Yeah," he said, "I don't know how I'm going to make ends meet." And he wasn't joking.